self-control, the info is plain. If you don't know, feel that energy flow right into your brain. Your whole game will change. Soldiers retain, soldiers retain, soldiers retain. Real strong man and self-control, the info is plain. If you don't know, feel that energy flow right into your brain. Your whole game will change. Soldiers retain, soldiers retain. Semen retention soldiers.
Yep.
We live and direct here on my YouTube channel, Facebook, Twitter. I don't know where else. I think that's it. Captain Jake, what's going down, brother?
Nothing, man. I'm just chilling in the sun. It's very sunny here today in the UK. So I'm just, basking in the sunshine.
You look like you're in a war zone. But it's break time, you know. It's like when the guys go away from the front line, and they gotta be back at the camp, and they gotta just be chilling in the sun, and they're like, "Whew, I just killed 56 men this morning. Now I gotta have lunch."
And I've got to do this Semen Retention Army workshop in my break.
That's right, yeah. I just killed 56 men. Now I'm gonna retain my semen. Then I'll be back at it this afternoon, you know.
But no, man, I'm doing good. Feeling really good. I'm very inspired by some of the stuff we've been doing in the army. This week we're really talking about being our authentic selves and what stops us from doing that, and why we keep going down these different alleyways that are not the right path for us. And it's very interesting because we all do it. And yeah, within the Semen Retention Army, I've been finding loads of ways to work through that, basically, and face those uncomfortable things that are getting in the way of being my authentic self.
Authenticity. Yeah, for sure, man. And actually, it's one of the most difficult things to do is actually be authentic and be real in this world, I find anyways, because we live in a very judgmental world. Very critical. Also like this illusion of perfectionism, social media and whatever, Hollywood and stuff, kind of giving always this illusion of perfectionism. And then if you go off if you say something that, you know, somebody doesn't like, you know, people are afraid right now of being canceled or, you know, not being accepted or all kinds of stuff. So there's all kinds of reasons. And then it just comes down to also a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today, which is the reality versus our story about reality, and if those two things actually match up. So, you know, let's dive into it. First of all, thanks everybody for being here live, and everybody watching the recording. We appreciate you. Make sure you like, you subscribe, you share it out, you leave comments. It helps the army get out there. It helps the message of retention get out there, and it helps a lot of other men tap into this very important work and knowledge. Any man who learns to control his sexual energy, even if steps up a degree, like even if he's like watching porn and jerking off every day, and he just steps it up, you know, till I gave up porn. I'm still jerking off, but I gave up porn, right? Then that's actually good. You'll notice a difference in your life just from that step up.
Yeah.
And if you step up again and you're like, oh, well, now I'm not even like, you know, I don't even need to ejaculate. I maybe still masturbate, but I don't ejaculate when I do it. Then that's another step up. And then you continuously progress. And I know there's some devotees with us, and, you know, the idea of taking to a sannyas or renounced order of life, this progress will help you do that much easier, and especially as you get older. But again, guys can then decide and have the free will and choice. And I think it's always important, especially when we talk about spiritual topics or whatever, at least it's important to me, is that we honor people's free will and choice. And we don't try to coerce them into following something just because, even if it's the right thing, even if it's like, you know, this is the best thing for you. I personally believe in honoring and respecting the free will and choice of every individual soul, that they have to make their choices for themselves.
Because then it wouldn't be their authentic path.
That's right. they wouldn't have come to the knowledge in a mood of like, yes, I want this. It's more like, oh, I'm being pressured into it because my family, my culture, my whatever, my religion is forcing me now into this kind of life when really
Yes.
I don't want to be there. I think that's personally a violation of spiritual law, which is honoring free will and choice. And we can see that this coercion is
Yeah.
actually happening. I mean, look, I'm not going to jump all political with it, but it's definitely happening in the political spectrum where certain countries are being forced to follow certain things, even though they don't want to, or some
Mhm.
people don't. So there's a coercion there. It happens in religious settings,
Mm.
right? Where it's like, you're coerced. And I grew up Catholic. I'm part of the Hare Krishna community. I've studied different religions. I spent time with, the Shambhala Buddhist community. I've seen it in all those communities. So it's not exclusive to one or the other. I've seen it
Yeah.
in all of them, right? So it's like where there's this subtle coercion,
Yeah.
this subtle like, well, if you don't behave the exact way that the leader behaves, or then you're not part of the gang, you're not
Yeah.
part of the clique.
The thing is, it has to be realized. You know, there's a difference between knowledge and realized knowledge, and the clue is in the name real. It has to be real and then realized. So, like, in order to really apply something into your life and live that way, it has to be real to you. Otherwise, it's just, yeah, pretending, and therefore, the more you resist, the more it persists, as we know. So that thing will never really go away. It has to be a real transformation in order for you to really embody and integrate that into your life.
That's right. So how do we get into this place? First of all, so today's topic is about transforming lust into love. So the first thing, we're talking about this coercion and this like authentic self and being like, well, I want to be me. So the first thing is to recognize when you say you want to be me, or I want to be myself, is to identify what self you're speaking of.
Mm.
If you say I want to be myself and your consciousness is totally related to the body, then what you're going to think is that everything that I want is what my body wants.
Your conditioned
So
self, that is.
that's right. And that's the conditioning. So when we say I want to be myself, oftentimes, generally, what we're talking about is what our body wants. And the first mistake that we make is we mistake our body to be ourselves, our
Mm.
real self. And so that's the first distinction in spiritual life to really understand, like, well, wait a sec. If I say I want to do something, or I want something, I desire something, what is it? Who am I that desires this thing that I want? And the thing that we all desire as men is sex, or we have lust. Now, lust isn't just sex. Lust is like, you could be lusty after fame.
Yeah.
You could be lusty after money. You could be lusty after some recognition, right?
It's
Some
like the need, the
status.
need, the need to enjoy, to control and enjoy. It's basically lust, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, the need to control and enjoy. So it's lust. So that's what lust is. So it's not just in the bedroom. It's when you
Yeah.
have that need to, like, okay, I got to be the center of attention. I have to be whatever it is. That's lust. And
That,
so, mm,
sorry, I just think it's a very, very important. Just before you move on from that topic, it's just a very important distinction that you've made right away. Because in the self-help world, there's so much talk about be yourself and love yourself. This has been talked about so much, but they're simply most of the time talking about the conditioned self, because so therefore it doesn't really transform people, because they're just continuously being their conditioned self and loving their conditioned self, their body, things related to their body. It doesn't create true transformation, you know.
yeah, that 100% right. And it's the challenge with the self-help world. I've spent a lot of time in that world as well. Um, and I always felt there was something missing in that
Mm.
world because, like, I like the principles and a lot of it helped me. So I'm not going to say it's bad, like, or there's all bad things there. But the piece that's missing is the distinction between what is the real self.
Yeah. How can you be yourself if you don't know who you are?
Yeah, so that's the biggest distinction, because it's like, unless you actually know who you are as soul, as you identify with your real self as spirit and not the body, then every other teaching after that will be ultimately you actually continuing to perpetuate your problems.
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of people in the self-help world never actually see the transformations they want.
It's just
They end up
temporary.
going course to course to course, book to book to book, seminar. Nothing ever changes in their life because they didn't make the very first distinction, which is, I am not this body. So when I say I want something, I need to be talking about me, the soul, the Atma, as opposed to me, the body. Now, in this world, when we're growing up, we are conditioned. We bring in conditioning from past life, but we also get conditioned from this life. So the first place that we get conditioning is from your parents, because right from the blood, right from the time of conception, that is starting to develop or condition you. So, for example, things happen along your life where you begin to tell yourself stories about reality that don't necessarily match with reality. So I'll give you a simple example. It's an example I use often, which is that let's say a young girl, she gets pregnant at a young age, as she tells herself, or her society tells her, her culture tells her, oh, you've ruined your life. Your life is over now. So you can imagine 16-year-old girl gets pregnant. She's telling herself, or others around her are telling her, you've ruined your life. Your life is over. Well, what is the reality of that situation? And what is the story about reality? The reality is she got pregnant. The story is that she ruined her life, or her life is over. She's 16 years old. Her life's not over. And none of us can say what her life will be 10, 20 years from now. But here's what happens. If she buys into that story, she believes that story to be true. She mistakes the story to be reality. What she ends up doing is she ends up seeing life through a different lens. She ends up seeing life through the story about reality, which says, I ruined my life is over. So how does that translate now into results? Well, maybe instead of finishing her studies and finishing school, she decides, well, there's no point. I ruined my life already. So no point of trying. I'm done school. Not always a bad thing, by the way, as not being a fan of mainstream education. But anyway, that's a different story about reality. She decides she goes from one bad relationship to the next. Why? Because she doesn't feel like she deserves a man who will actually treat her with respect. You see, we all act and get, in a way, the things that we believe we deserve. And it's important to note that, because vibrationally, remember, the law of attraction makes no mistake. That's one of God's laws. Like will attract like. So therefore, what you are, you attract. If you feel you aren't worthy, you feel you aren't deserving of a good life, of a good relationship, of a good of good finances, if you don't feel you deserve that, you won't actually allow it into your life. Or you can say it that the law of attraction won't match it, because the law of attraction will match you. And you definitely will struggle in your spiritual life to connect with God, because you'll also feel like you don't deserve God. How many people in religious settings feel like they don't deserve God in their life because they've been told that they're not worthy, not good enough, too much of a sinner?
So many.
So many. And I personally think it's just a story, though. It's not true.
Yeah.
It's just a story. God is already within you.
And it's funny because a lot of times I was like that too in some ways, had a lot of guilt, feeling unworthy and impure. But then God is continuously giving you mercy. And so the reality is not it's different to the story. Like, it's giving you so much mercy, and then you're like, oh, just not good enough. It's like wake up to the reality. He's still loving you. He's still like giving you so much. But yeah, we're unable to embrace it sometimes because of the story we've been told, or to go deeper
Because the story ends up blocking us from the reality. And this becomes our reality. Your story becomes your reality. So this is why there's that. I've got those, those arrows. Like, it becomes a cyclical cycle. This becomes your cycle. Your story becomes your reality. Then your reality reinforces your story. It's kind of like the chicken and the egg. Which one came first, type of thing, right? It's like, but this becomes the cycle. And this is why so many people find themselves in cycles. Yeah. Oh, I'm back here again, right? Different relationship, same asshole, right? Different career, same amount of money. Different business, same struggles. Why? Because you're changing the outer world, thinking that that's where you need to change. But actually, your story, which for most people live unconsciously within them. And the unconscious mind takes up 90 to 95% of your mind. So the unconscious mind is a lot where this is happening. So one of the ways that we help shift your story. Now, let me give one really relevant to guys in the semen retention army and guys practicing sex transmutation and sexual mastery. Is they say things like, I am addicted to porn. I am lusty. I am failing. And that becomes their story. And then I say, well, look, let's change that. Then they'll go, no. And then they'll prove it. Every time they go and watch porn, they prove themselves to be correct.
Yeah.
Every time they do that activity in which they identify with, they say, you see, that's reality. One of the best ways to start to change this is to distance yourself from the actual story. And one of the easiest ways to do that is never say, I am addicted to porn, but you could say, my body's conditioned to like porn. So I, the soul, now begin to see my body as a vehicle, as opposed to who I am. I would never say I, the car, am going to to the store.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I would talk about my vehicle separate to me. I'd say, what? My vehicle's got this issue right now, right? Keeps swerving to the left.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't take it personally. I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, I'm a swerver.
Yeah, you wouldn't drink petrol.
That's right.
You'd put it in the car.
Yeah. So it's the same thing with the body. We have to see the body for what it is, a vehicle. And we can learn from our body. Our body's one of our gurus, one of our teachers. We can learn. Our body's telling us, just like the car, the little signal goes off. It says, boom, you need gas, right? You need to fill up. That's the vehicle speaking to you so that you could then go, okay, I need to go to the station. I got to fill up. What do you guys call in the UK?
Petrol station, yeah.
A petrol station.
It's not gas, it's petrol.
It's petrol. You guys are way more fancy than us.
We call things what they actually are, I think.
Well, probably, yeah. We're just like gas. Gas.
Or we're like toilet. You're like bathroom. It's like, ain't no one having a bath in there, man.
Yeah, well, you never been here.
Or what we say way out and you say exit. It's like, it's the way out, man. Anyway, let's get back to the topic.
No, it makes sense. Yeah. Cool. So the point is that so too many guys, one of the reasons they relapse so much in semen retention is actually because of their story that they have, their self-identifying belief.
Yeah.
Right? So Krishna Baladeva says, I have a habit to wake up late. Yeah, you can say my body has a habit to wake up late.
Yeah, not like, oh, I always wake up late. Yeah, it's a
Yeah, my
difference,
body.
subtle difference.
That's right. If there's and that subtle difference actually makes a massive impact in the result
Because
because it shifts the consciousness.
our decisions are based on our identity. So yeah, whatever you identify with, no matter how hard you try, usually most of the time your decision, how thought process works, will be made based on what you identify with. So if on some level you identify as, oh, I just wake up late, or something like that, then it's like in the morning the identity is gonna go, that's who you are. So just, it's like very subtle, but in that decision making process, the identity has a big influence. So if you can separate that, and then you can make different decisions.
That's right. And as Krishna just said, words are casting spells. In the
Mm,
Bible, it says the power of life or death is within the tongue.
mm,
Right. And what that means is that you can speak yourself or your new identity into existence.
yeah.
This is where people do affirmations and prayer and mantra. You're using the power of word to recondition your body, your mind, and ultimately to identify as your real identification, which is soul, neither body nor mind. And once you identify as soul and that becomes your identity, then you will naturally be more masterful over your body and mind. Because you'll never see your body and mind as you. Just like you don't see your car as you. You see your car as a vehicle to get to where you want to go, to get around the city or the town, but you never say the car is me. So similarly, you never say your body is me. So one of the ways that we help guys within the Army practice semen retention, get over porn, get over sexual issues, these type of things, or lust, or transform their lust into love, is at the mental level. We could work with the story and say, well, hold on, how do you identify it with yourself? Well, I'm a lusty guy, right? Like I like this, I like that. Great. So what I'm addicted to porn. So one of the first things that we do with guys is say, well, hold on a sec. Who's addicted to porn? You, the soul, or you, the body? Oh, it's my body that's addicted. Great. Your body, can it be changed? Of course.
Yeah.
Your body's changeable. Your body's 72% water. Right? And actually, the way to change your body is to actually grow in the amount of ether within the body. Now we're talking about alchemy, sexual alchemy. The way that we help you do this without ever having to address your story specifically, because the truth is so many of our stories, we don't know what they are because they're unconscious to us.
Yeah.
We through meditation. So one of the best ways to do it is to standing meditations that we teach. Our standing meditations that you learn when you become a member of the Army helps you change your body, because you'll have to learn how to identify, to do 15 minutes of standing in one posture like this. You will have to go through this uncomfortable realization that I won't be able to just control that with my body. I'm going to have to use the power of my mind. And to use the power of my mind, it means I have to use my intelligence or my will. In the yogic tradition in Bhakti, right, we use the word intelligence. In the Bible, they use the word will. But it's the same. They're speaking of the same thing. Your willpower or your intelligence is going to be directed by either your bodily identity or by your spiritual identity.
Yeah.
And so that's why when you identify as soul and you realize that I am spirit, then naturally your intelligence or your willpower becomes shifted into a new way of thinking, a new story about reality, which then begins to produce a new reality. And as you produce that new reality, it reinforces the story. I am soul.
Yeah, that's why it's important to feed your intelligence with good knowledge, because then the intelligence can give you more options, and then you decide based on your identity. But if you have good spiritual knowledge and you've been feeding your intelligence with that, yeah, it will give you more choices to decide upon, and then you're more likely to identify with the spiritual ones.
That's exactly it. So, couple techniques that we use to help guys do this is, first of all, just by bringing this conversation to the forefront, then you begin, like right now, you may be, in fact, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments, in the chat. What story are you running right now that you would like to change or that you would like to see different?
Yeah.
Identify that story and then start to consciously pick a new story that's more favorable to where you want to go. The other way that we help you do this as soon as you join the army is we do a goal setting session with you, and we help you set goals. Well, the reason that you want to set very definite goals is setting goals helps you re-identify or reestablish a new story. So, for example, if you say, I'm a semen retention soldier, that's a new identity, as opposed to I'm addicted to porn, or I'm uncontrollable, I can't get my lust under control. Well, the identity of being a semen retention soldier means that you practice semen retention right away. That identity, that story helps you. I can't tell you how many guys have joined the army and have had tremendous results simply because they joined the army and they identify now as a semen retention soldier.
Yeah.
They're like, wow, one of our latest members, we just did his goal setting session yesterday. So he's not even a week into the program. He said he's now 14 days, no porn, no masturbation, no ejaculation. And he said, you know what? Because I knew I was going to join the army.
Yeah.
So I started to just like give it up, right? You see, he's just joined the army.
It can make you, yeah.
The story, his identity changed.
You can do something beyond what you thought you could do. You thought, oh, I could never retain for that long. But when you know you're about to, change your narrative and be a semen retention soldier, then suddenly, even before you start, you can like retain for longer because you just changed. You changed the story.
Yeah. So he just got started. He's already 14 days. Why? Because he made the commitment, and it's why it's so important to join and not just to be, because he knew, he's like, I'm going to pay money. It's $100 a month. I got to invest $100 a month. I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to learn these techniques. I am a semen retention soldier. So he's already set it up. He's already setting himself up for success.
There's less chance of a way out as well. Like, sorry, for the mind to, next time you feel those urges, if you've signed up, then there's less chance you're going to go, oh, it's fine, I can just continue with my old patterns. It's like, no, I've made a commitment. I'm doing this now. So yeah, it really changes your decision making.
That's right. So this is so important that you take on identities that are beneficial. Oftentimes your identities are created unconsciously at a young age, sometimes way before you can remember. By time you're born into the world, you have already taken on conditioning and identities from your parents and surroundings. All right. By time you're 6, 7, 8 years old, many of your identities have actually been unconsciously programmed into you.
Yeah.
But now, as an adult man, you can now switch or start to retrain your identity. And the best identity to take on is I am soul, I am spirit, because it totally transforms the consciousness and of the way you live your life. And you'll notice that in that, your intelligence always directs you to beneficial things, because the soul ultimately knows what is actually beneficial for you or not. The body, if the body doesn't know, if the body knew that, you would never watch porn, you would never eat that chocolate cake, you would never have that, can of Coca-Cola. You would never do it. Why? Because that's not really beneficial. The soul will always do what's beneficial. It has it's not conditioned by the material atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let me just grab my chair. There's some questions here.
Yeah, there's a couple questions.
Yeah, that we can go through.
All right. So the first one, John Red said, "Is edging acceptable?"
John Red. Is edging acceptable?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so at the beginning we talked about the progression. So first of all, I am not your guru. I am not going to tell you personally what is acceptable or not. You have to ask yourself, is that acceptable in your life? Are you okay with it? Now, here's how I used edging at the beginning. I don't really edge anymore. I can't say I never do it, generally only after sex, because I'm all like, right? So non-ejaculatory sex, sometimes I'll do some edging afterwards to circulate that energy to relax myself. That's the really only way I do edging now. But at the beginning, I edged a lot because I was still masturbating with ejaculation and I was watching porn with ejaculation and all that stuff. So edging, we teach edging inside the Army as a tool to step up on the progression. Then eventually you may, like me, I just came to a point. I did not try to edge. I just came to a point where I'm like, see, my identity changed. I'm like, honestly, it's a waste of time. That's generally what comes into my mind now if I want to go and like masturbate.
Yeah, no, the same. I don't. Right now, I hardly think of it now.
Yeah.
Like,
mainly just because over time, these practices helped me change my identity. And I started to realize for myself, this is a waste of time. And I'm gonna mention a name who's highly controversial for a lot of people who helped me in this. And his name is Donald Trump.
Goodness.
My goodness. And here's why. It had nothing to do with politics at all or business. But Donald Trump was on the Howard Stern show. And I was on the Howard Stern show for a little bit talking about semen retention. And someone sent me a clip like, did you know Donald Trump was on the Howard Stern show? And Howard Stern asked Trump, I heard you don't masturbate. Is that true? And Trump said, yeah, that's true. I don't masturbate. And Howard Stern was like, couldn't believe it, right? And he's like, never, like, when's the last time you masturbated? And Trump said, he's like, I can't even remember. Like years. He's like, not since I learned what a woman was. Right? And then he said, you know why I don't masturbate? He's like, it's a waste of time and it gets you nowhere.
Yeah, he has a different identity.
That's right.
A different story. He won't allow himself to do that because of his high standards.
That's right.
And whatever you say about him, he's been bankrupt a few times and got back to being a millionaire. Like, so he even has a standard of that. Like,
yeah. His standards, his identity is what gets him where he's at. This is the power of identity. This is the power of understanding what it is that we're conveying to you. So is edging acceptable? You have to decide that for yourself.
Yeah.
For me, edging is acceptable if you're using it to better yourself. So if you're used to masturbating and ejaculating, then edging is better.
But edging with these energy techniques is the best, because
Yeah.
otherwise I'm not sure, because as you say, it's used as like a step. Otherwise, if you're not circulating the energy, then it's kind of, you're just edging, but the energy's staying there, and you just keep doing it. But the idea is to use that as a stepping stone while moving the energy, and then you get to the point where you don't even need to do the edging. You just move the energy, and you feel so good in the energy that you don't even really think about that anymore.
That's right. Yeah. So John says, "I'd love to step up on the progression of edging while rotating." Yeah, great.
The edging steps. Yeah.
That's great. There was a guy who trained with me, and he was so interested in edging. Like,
yeah,
he literally wanted to learn how to edge. So I taught him how to edge, what the techniques are, blah, 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 blah. And that's it. And he's like, that's what I wanted. He wasn't interested necessarily in anything above and beyond that at this time in his life.
Yeah.
For me, that's fine, because I respect your free will and choice. I'm not going to force it down his throat or be like, oh, you're bad, you have to give it up. He's not interested in that. He wants to experience this pleasure. And so I showed him how to do it. Well, the training showed him how to do it, and we put him through the training, and he got great. And he learned to have non-ejaculatory orgasms, which is what he was really going for, right? Is how to have non-ejaculatory orgasms. Great. Non-ejaculatory orgasms really help me practice semen retention.
Yeah.
So again, it's all about progression as opposed to these sort of
obsession.
Obsession, yeah.
That's a good one. We should start this. Progression, not obsession.
Yes. Maybe that'll be our next. Maybe that'll be our podcast. By the way, guys, we're starting a new channel because I know many people here are Krishna devotees or Hare Krishnas, and myself and Jake, we're starting a channel for devotees. So make sure you guys watch out for that.
Yeah, we'll launch
Speaking
it
of
soon.
the Hare Krishnas,
yeah.
How do you say that? Vijayananda?
Wait, where are you? Yeah, Vijayananda says
Vijayananda
Hare Krishna.
Says Hare Krishna.
We have another question above.
Yeah.
From Aaron Rich. Says,
Aaron,
as you guys touch on semen retention and stronger breath, my solar plexus feels like I can draw a breath better after a few weeks on retention. Anyone experienced that?
Yeah, absolutely. After a few weeks of retention, you'll notice everything is just better. Your mind is sharper. Your body's working better. You're more efficient. And because you're more efficient, your body is more efficient. So we use the analogy of the car. Think about your body as a car. If your body is a vehicle and your vehicle is very efficient, it's working well, everything's oiled, you're going to get better gas mileage or petrol mileage for my... Is that how you guys say it over there? How do you guys say it over there?
Yeah.
Do you say mileage? Petrol mileage?
Yeah, I've not really heard those words together, but I guess you would if you were saying that. Just more mileage, really.
You'd get more mileage, right? You get more mileage for each tank of petrol, of gas. Why? Because you're more efficient. So similarly, it's the same thing with the body. When you retain your semen, your testosterone after a few weeks gets spiked. Your masculine hormone is active. You are gaining more muscle. You are reducing in body fat. Now add a workout regimen or routine to that, whether that's lifting weights or yoga or running or a sport, some physical activity. Then add good food and no intoxication. Pooh! Watch the efficiency of your vehicle, your body just skyrocket. So this is where guys recognize, wow, I can make more money now. Why? Because not just because I can work more, but I'm actually more efficient, and making money and efficiency go hand in hand, by the way. If you want to make money in your life, you have to learn to operate efficiently. You cannot operate your day inefficiently and expect to make a lot of money. You just won't happen. Money and efficiency go hand in hand. So therefore, as your body works more efficiently, you work more efficiently. Your breath is more efficient. So guess what? Deeper, slower, longer breaths. And you know what they say? There's an old yoga saying that says, long breath, long life. Short breath, short life.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're working more efficiently there. And
I
now
don't
if
know.
you go ahead.
Sorry. I'm just saying I don't know why more sports people don't do this, because many do, and it gives them an advantage because they always say they have more energy, right? And obviously you can. One of the reasons is your body can hold more energy, so that's why your breaths are more expansive and deeper. But they should just bring like semen retention coaches into teams, man, because it would give such an advantage. Because if I can feel it, just running, like you're less tired and got more energy. Like I don't need to sleep as much now either. Like I used to be very like if I missed the hours I needed or whatever. Now even if I go to bed late because of some reason, like if I'm doing something and I get back late, I still get up at the early time and I don't need a nap later. Like it just I don't know, it's because you have more energy. So it's very, very powerful.
So Aaron says I've been off and on semen retention for about 6 years. I'm now a millionaire at 33. Awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And that's what it is. Like you see how many guys practice semen retention. And again, like a lot of guys, the reality for a lot of guys is that there's no like they're not necessarily monks or brahmacharis, meaning they're not ever ejaculating ever. They're just extending. I call it ejaculation regulation, right? You're regulating your ejaculation. So some guys will still practice semen retention, like myself. I don't never not ejaculate, but it's rare. Every 60 to 90 days, a few times a year. And that's progressively gotten more and more. When I first started practicing, it was every week to 2 weeks, then I'd ejaculate. And still I
set goals depending on where you're at. You can set goals. 1 month, 60 days, progress it.
That's right. So we're gonna on in July, we're gonna do a 90-day semen retention boot camp. You're gonna get 90. You're gonna get all the training to the sexual alchemy program, so you can learn to transmute that energy, so you can not just retain, but consciously now use that energy to pour it into your business, pour it into your workouts, pour it into your creativity, your relationships, and your spiritual path, if that's what's important to you. You're going to be able to direct that energy into where you want to go. And we're going to be practicing retention for 90 days. Now, some guys are going to go the whole 90 days in the boot camp. Some guys might set goals of once a week throughout the 90 days. It's up to you, because you have to know where you're at and what your next step is. So anyways, be on the watch out for that. If you're interested, send me a message. You can go to, if you're connected with Captain Jake, you can send him a message. You can go to nakuladas.com and you could book a time on my calendar, or you could send me a message to the contact and just say, hey, I'm interested in the boot camp. I want to learn more, and we'll jump on a call and chat. We've got coaching programs and stuff. So for guys looking to take it to the next level, make sure you come out and reach out. There was another question there by Aaron, I believe, that came through about diet. And then we'll answer that, and then what diet is recommended? Okay, so this is another one that's, it's a bit individual. So I personally eat a vegetarian lifestyle. The reason I eat a vegetarian lifestyle from an energy perspective, there's different ways to look at it, but from an energy cultivation perspective, the less your body has to work to digest your food, the more energy you'll have. That's why when you eat, I wasn't always a vegetarian. So let's say I would have a steak, steak and potatoes, which is like a very, Canadian diet, right? Steak and potatoes, some vegetables. That's a very Canadian plate, let's say, right? That, man, you'd feel that steak 2, 3, 4, 5 hours the next day sometimes. In fact, I've heard that it takes up to 3 days to digest meat in the stomach. So This is not a judgment on meat eaters. It's just a reality of eating meat takes longer to break down.
Yeah.
So if you can move to a meatless diet, you'll notice you'll have more energy. If you reduce the amount of meat, you'll notice that as well. And if you reduce the type of animal you eat as well. So one guy had, when I was going vegetarian, he said you could take the progressive, again, a progression. He said, so stop eating anything with 4 legs. So that's how he went vegetarian. He stopped eating cow and pig, and he just ate chicken and fish. Then he said, then stop eating anything with 2 legs. So then he just went down to aquatics, fish. And then eventually he gave that up as well too. So if I ever had to eat meat, if I was in a situation where I had to eat meat, I would pick the lowest animal on the conscious scale. So meaning I would pick a fish, something like this. Okay. So, right. So now the other than that, as far as diet, I also recommend an intermittent fasting lifestyle. Intermittent fasting is like kind of a new fad within the health world. But it's been a 15,000 year fad for the yogis. So it's a health craze now, like intermittent fasting, you reduce your body fat. Yeah, you do. This is the way yogis just eat. If you live in a temple or an ashram, if you ever visit one or go live there for a little bit or spend some time, you'll see that's how they eat. 10, 11 o'clock, they'll have their first meal. 6, 7 o'clock, they'll have their second meal, and that's it. And you'll notice that you'll also need to eat less. Because, again, your body's more efficient. The healthier you are, the less food you need. The more nutrient dense your food, the less food you eat. Man, I can eat a bag of chips, drink a whole can of pop, and eat a whole large pizza and still be hungry. Why? Because it's empty calories. There's no nutrition in that. I eat one good apple and I'm struggling to finish that apple. Why? Nutrition dense. That apple has so much of what my body needs that my body's like, that's good. That's good. One apple's good. So when it comes to diet, high nutritional diet, lots of fruits and vegetables. Lots of fruits and vegetables, because that will increase your energy and give you tons of nutrition, which will naturally reduce the need to eat overall, and it will give you more energy. All right, I hope that answers the question. And again, reach out to me if you guys need, if you want to get into more specifics, or if you want to look at, like Aaron, in your stage of life, you might want to look at the Powerhouse Man coaching program, where it's a one-on-one training where, I customize the program and training for you and hold you accountable to that and such. We could chat about that. All right, fellas. Captain Jake, you got anything final to say?
Yeah, I just want to say great session, great discussion. I really think this is why this energy work is so important, because it gets to the subconscious. As you say, so many of these patterns we have, these stories we tell ourselves, they don't match reality, but they're coming from the subconscious. So we can try and have some talk therapy or talk to ourselves and work it out, but actually it's in the subconscious. So these energy practices that we do, or these meditations, they get in there. And some of the meditations we do, they actually teach you to separate yourself from your thoughts, as you were saying, to realize that you're a soul and not these thoughts, the mind and the body. So it's so powerful to change these old patterns, to change these stories, and be more in line with reality, to be your authentic self. So yeah, it's powerful stuff, and I'm grateful to be learning these things.
Yeah, man. Me too. It's really transformed my life. It continues to do so. It's transformed the lives. We've had over 1,000 men come through the Army, through our different programs, our free programs, our paid programs, our webinars, our trainings. Over 1,000 men in just a year we've been able to touch with this information and this knowledge, and we're just getting started and warmed up. So guys, go to nakuladas.com. reach out to me. Let me know where you're at, where you want to go. We got a boot camp coming up. We've got coaching programs coming up, and we're just here to help and be of service in best way we can. So reach out. We've got a second channel that we're going to launch here over the next few weeks, a month or so, which is going to be for those who are interested in diving deeper into spiritual life and into the knowledge of the Vedas and the yogic lifestyle. So join us, just watch out for that and make sure you're part of that community as well. All right, fellas, we'll leave it like that. Have a fantastic week. We'll see you guys next week, same time, same place for another discussion training. Soldiers,
retain.
Soldiers retain. Real strong men and self-control. Their info is plain. If you don't know, feel that energy flow right into your brain. Your whole game will change. Soldiers retain. Soldiers retain. Soldiers retain. Real strong men and self-control. Their info is plain. If you don't know, feel that energy flow right into